best way to put it. So let's move on, Mike. You also talked about something else, which I'm really interested in this week. Actually, last week and this week, so we did a two-parter on this notion of the cloud kitchen.
Yeah.
I really love this. I love this concept. I love this idea. And I wonder, I'll let you explain what it is, but my big question is this just an interesting angle on the restaurant delivery space, or is it a disruptor to actual restaurants, to actual sit-down restaurants?
Before Mike gets there,
yeah,
go for it.
Rodents in the cloud kitchen.
Yeah, they're cloud rodents.
They're virtual rodents.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a real kitchen, so they probably have real rodents. So anyway, Mike, tell us what the cloud kitchen is.
Sure. So it's essentially like the short version is
Mhm.
that it's a kitchen that is purpose built for delivery, as opposed to your traditional kitchen that is attached to a restaurant.
Right.
So like no wait staff, no fancy dining room, no front end polish, no premium real estate. So that has a few advantages. One of them is obviously cost. When you go into any restaurant, you're kind of paying for all that overhead. So when you kind of streamline your margins, there's more margin to pass around, whether you want to like compete on price or just, share margin with the delivery, the kitchen, the on-demand network, bringing it all together. So it just kind of streamlines that. The second one is logistics. So because you no longer need to put a kitchen and restaurant in a high traffic area like you normally would, you can kind of cluster
you can do it
them
in an industrial area or
you throw them in like a warehouse district, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they essentially become fulfillment centers. It's like a fulfillment center for food. So it starts to follow that playbook. And we can circle back to that and how it ties to Amazon. But I think the third one to mention too is you have the benefit of capacity. So when you have a traditional restaurant, the kitchen is built to handle the maximum capacity of that restaurant and that dining room when it's full. So that has some like yield optimization disadvantages in that sometimes you don't have a full restaurant, the kitchen's idle, sometimes you're turning away money when the restaurant's full. So in this way, it's kind of like cloud computing in that there's like a variable demand, dynamic kind of like up and down, optimize your levels of business, and that grows with the more kind of volume you have. So it's almost like, I think that's why it gets the cloud kitchen moniker, because it's almost like cloud computing.
It's a little bit of a stretch.
So, hold on. So Mike,
Yep.
Does that mean, help me here,
Yep.
Does that mean that my Chipotle that gets delivered and my, what's the Panda, the Chinese food?
Panda Express.
You eat that
Does that
crap?
mean it's going to be made in the same place?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So, and that also brings up
And the
another
pizza.
question. Oh, yeah, and it brings
Chinese and Mexican food all in the same cloud kitchen.
Yeah, so it brings up the question of like brand too. Like we know of Panda Express, all the ones you just mentioned, because they are a brand, they are a restaurant.
Mhm.
Whereas this kind of like ambiguated thing that gets made and brought to you, like what's the brand that's attached to it? So I think there's two ways this plays out. One is as like an outsourced kitchen from these known restaurants and brands that allows them to optimize their capacity and their delivery. The second is like an Amazon or a Deliveroo or just a on-demand network comes along and runs this cloud kitchen, not so much tied to these traditional brands, and just starts to just deliver food at scale for those lower cost kind of macro benefits that I mentioned earlier.